Okay, now we will be making the base of the pedestal fan, basically the part of the fan that sits on the ground and holds the entire structure up. Go to right plane, sketch, and we will draw a corner rectangle. I think is the appropriate thing for this rectangle, and we will say okay. Let's dimension this accordingly. This needs to be 50. Okay, this needs to be 150. Okay, and as for the rest, we will draw a spline from this point to this point, which we mention smart dimension again, and select this point, it should also be 50, as well as this point and this point, which should be 20. Let me just check. If you overdimension something, that usually becomes a problem, but let me just set that. Don't need to do that as well. Just need to place this, the end of this, slightly lower than this is. I think if I click on this line, this point of view, this point, need to give it a proper curve. This sort of, if you look at how this is done, this part goes horizontal, and this part sort of flexes up. So this is the part where there will be buttons. Obviously, we're looking at the bottom, the base of the fan from the right side. So this is the part where it sits on the ground. This is the base, and this is where the buttons will be, the logo or speed controller, basically. So we say, okay, this is good enough. Okay, this is what we need. Lastly, we will use trim entities to remove this, and further on exit sketch. Then we will simply use the extrude boss base command and select the sketch plane stays the same. We just select mid plane, so it extrudes both ways, and give it a value of 200 millimeters. Now it's starting to look like the bottom or the base of the fan. We say this, okay, this is what we need, and now we just perform some aesthetic touches. So we select fillet command and fillet this corner, as well as fillet this corner by 30 millimeters. Yep, what we need. And we also do the same to this corner as well as this corner. The second, wrong corner. Select the face, not the corner. Select the face, and we do this by 10 millimeters, not 100. And okay, this is what we need. Say okay. This is what it's starting to look like, the bottom, the base of the fan. Lastly, we still use the fillet command to do this corner up to up to this side. If you fillet this corner, it doesn't look very good, so I just fillet this by the same. 10 millimeters is enough. We just say, okay, this is what we need. Starting to look more aesthetically pleasing, much better, much in terms of sort of looks and aesthetics. Okay, so now we select this as the working plane, sketch, and we draw an ellipse here at the center. I'm not sure why the center line is not showing, but let's just use our intuition to produce an ellipse. It should be about this high, this low, and this is basically where the back rod or the back end of the fan will connect. The back body will connect to the base stand through this. So we just use the dimensions and we say this end to this end should be 100 millimeters. Stretches it a little bit, and the same goes for this. This to this should be 40 millimeters. Select that. Okay, this is the final form. We say yes, exit sketch. Now we need to use the loft command to basically protrude this this profile out of this base and up to the required height, where it goes and connects to the motor of the fan and then the rest of the body. So we will need a new plane for that. Select plane, select this. Now we need to provide a height for this to be, how high we need this to be, so then we can provide the loft command. Moving to this, we specify that we want it to be 300 millimeters higher, this plane. And on this plane, we simply just start sketching on this plane, and we will draw another profile, another ellipse basically at the center of the first ellipse. It'll allow you to sort of do that, but we will use the dimensions. I think this is incorrect, the way this latched onto the first ellipse. We don't need that. Might as well just make a smaller ellipse and then give it dimensions, because we don't want the dimensions to be skewed or wrong. Zoom out a little bit. 80 is what we need in this case, and for the other case, this side to this side will still be 40. Press enter, and this is our final ellipse. Okay, so we exit the sketch after creating this ellipse on the higher plane. I just hit the plane. I do it. This is the plane I hit. Now we need a plane that goes from this ellipse, so that we can sort of form a geometry, connect them, provide a sort of a curve for the surface to follow, for this stand, this part, or the neck of the fan or the stand of the fan to follow. For that, we will make a new plane, select the center point of this ellipse, select the center point of the bottom ellipse, and then select the side point of this ellipse. Now this is created. You basically need to describe 3 points, make this plane. This plane is created. Once it starts to have this appear as a fill-in with this blue color, you know that this, otherwise it'll give it an error. So this is what we need. Now on this plane, we go and sketch, and what we'll do is basically use the spleen connect the do. Okay, so use the spleen to click on this end of the ellipse and connect it with the this end of the ellipse. You can see the ellipse that we created being highlighted by the system, but now we just provide a proper curve. We just make sure this is already coincident. Yes, so it's coincident. That means that's good. Just zoom out and also make sure that this is coincident. Yes, it's showing as a coincident part. And we just click on this line. It'll allow us to modify this in a way that we can just sort of form it and make it slightly more aesthetically pleasing. If we make this part vertical and make this part, no, not this part, this part also vertical. I think that's not as aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to undo the vertical requirement, delete it from here. Same for this. I'm going to delete this requirement and manually adjust the curve of this. This is basically the whatever you think is the more pleasing or better looking curve. Then you select center line. Let me just press escape. That's not what I needed. Drop down center line, and you notice the center point of the, and you just drop a vertical line from here. Make sure it's vertical and use the mirror entities command. It says entity to mirror is this, and then select mirror about. What are you going to mirror this curve about? We are going to mirror about this center line, and we can say yes and even remove this center line. If now that this created this curve, see how the ends are meeting. It's very important that these ends are meeting, otherwise it won't create the proper curve. Afterwards, now that this is completed, we simply go to outside the sketch, use the loft command. The two profiles or faces are required to, obviously, we'll select two profiles, one of this and the other will be this. It's already picking up on the loft. Now we need to provide the guide curve. Click on this guide curve. One guide curve, say OK. The second guide curve, say OK. Now you can see that it's taking the shape that we wanted. Say OK, this is what we need. And a few more touches that we can give is we can delay the corners of this by 5 millimeters. We go to 5 millimeters, press enter, just for that more aesthetically pleasing look. Same with this, and with this sort of outer rim. I've selected the wrong. Delete that face. Select this corner. I don't know why it's not filling this edge. Let me just delete that. Wanted to fillet this. know, for some reason, maybe it's colliding into another edge or something that it's not thinking it's appropriate to fillet this. So obviously it kind of looks blunt and sharp from the back. Um, what if we use another fillet command? Click on this corner. Oh, now it is filleting it. Yes. Same 5 millimeters. I think we can reduce it by a small, make it, and say okay. Let's see if, yes, now it's looking more sort of aesthetically pleasing in this case. So see you in that next part for the render of the body and the render of the parts.